Hi everyone. I'm here with Maisie today, and I can't get enough of this girl. She is just so precious, and like when I'm looking at my reborns and deciding which one I want to change for this video, she's just sitting there and smiling at me, and I was like, okay. She's like, "Mommy, change me. It's not Disney Monday anymore." So yeah, I've decided to change her. And in terms of like what outfit caught my eye, I actually found this simple romper from Gymboree. It's from the spring line earlier this year. It's just like a little kitty cat face, and it's super simple. But I haven't seen her in anything simple like this, and I think she would look so cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and change her. And the topic I wanted to chat about today is advice for, it's just along the lines of just some advice for new reborn or silicone collectors. And I'm going to talk about collecting both reborns and silicones. And I don't have any notes or anything written out, so this will be a little bit stream of consciousness. But I feel like I did have like different thoughts to share for those of you guys who are still relatively new to the hobby. Again, just some advice as you continue to progress in the hobby. And I think we all evolve as collectors. And so anyway, and like I did on my last video, I'll probably end up changing her relatively quickly. So just a heads up on that, just because I don't want YouTube to flag me again. Anyway, so yeah, I guess the first thing I would just mention is you know, try to go slow and take your time. I know when you first discover these babies, it's like it's kind of like kid in a candy shop. You know, it's just the fact that these beautiful dolls even exist. It's just mind-boggling, and it becomes an obsession like pretty quickly. Like you just can't get enough of these babies. And I know that when I first started collecting, I was just constantly on eBay. And constantly looking at listings, constantly on the hunt for the next baby. And I think actually, honestly, that's to a certain extent very, very normal. And I think I still experience that today as well. Like I don't ever stop browsing. I do browse eBay, probably not as much as I look at, for example, the doll fan babies for sale, or um, things like that. But I think it's easy to kind of constantly be in shopping mode when when you first start collecting. So, hey, there's Maisie. And yeah, I don't know why YouTube flags this, because look, there's like absolutely nothing inappropriate about this. She is a cloth body reborn wearing a diaper, no less. So anyway, it's weird. I don't know if they kind of have an algorithm and they look to see like how much skin is showing or something like that. But or maybe, so I still can't figure that out, but I'm going to just try to avoid that by having her closed as much as possible during this video. And this Gymboree romper is a size 3 to 6 months, for those of you guys who are wondering. I'll go ahead and button her up. And then we'll keep chatting, because I'm not very good at talking and changing at the same time. It's just hard, and then kind of takes away a little bit from the enjoyment of just changing the baby when you're trying to chat and think about what you want to say next. So let me go ahead and just finish getting her dressed. Okay. Oh, she's really cute. This baby, I swear, she looks cute in everything. Like, she could probably wear like a plastic sack and look cute. But yeah, one little tip for those of you guys who have like 3/4 limbed babies, these kinds of rompers are awesome because they totally cover up the fabric. Yeah, and they're great. The only challenge is this one is a full sleeve romper, so it's hard if you have 3/4 arms as well. So that's a little tricky. But anyway, yeah, my recommendation is definitely try to take your time, try to go slow. I do think it's a good idea to look at, photos of a lot of different babies, a lot of different listings, and try to get a feel for what you like, whether you think you might want a larger baby, like Maisie is a 6 month size baby. If you might want a larger baby, or if you might want a smaller one that's maybe more newborn size or even preemie size, um, think about just even for yourself personally, like how heavy do you, how heavy of a baby would you be comfortable lifting? And it's probably hard to answer that without actually getting to feel a baby, but just know that a 5 pound reborn feels a lot heavier than a 5 pound baby, just because of the way the weight is distributed and just the fact that it's all dead weight. There's something about that that makes the baby feel heavier than it actually is, and so that's just something to keep in mind. Um, but yeah, and just kind of think about your preferences. But rather than just kind of jump on the first baby you see, or just jump on a baby just because it's an inexpensive baby. I would just encourage you to take your time. You're less likely going to run into buyer's remorse that way. And I would look for the baby that, the French have, I think, a phrase called coup de coeur, which basically means, shoot, it's kind of like I think it technically means kill the heart, but the idea is don't buy anything that doesn't like just absolutely grab your heart. And this can probably apply to not only reborns and silicone babies themselves, but also their accessories, their clothes, all the little things that we buy for them. Sometimes we'll buy something just because it's cheap and we don't really love it. So that would just be something I would, think about, as you're collecting. I think it's really important to just research as much as you can, watch YouTube channels, read Dollfan. Dollfan is just doll-fan.com. It is well worth the membership fee to join Dollfan. It's about $20 a year. And when you join, you have the opportunity to comment, to actually purchase babies on Dollfan and sell on Dollfan and list postings. I do think that in general on Dollfan, just something to be aware of, I think a lot of the very experienced collectors and artists are on Dollfan. So, if you're selling a baby and it's and I'm sorry, if you're a new collector, you're probably not selling a baby, but this goes for those who are kind of new to selling as well. If you're selling a baby that might be not as high end of a baby, Dollfan might, you could certainly give it a shot on Dollfan, because there's all sorts of collectors and buyers on there. But just know that your listing will be next to like an amazing, $1,000 baby that, has like perfectly rooted hair, or a baby that looks like Maisie, which is where I found Maisie. So, but yeah, everybody, there's, you never know unless you try. So it doesn't hurt to try listing. And then if it doesn't work out, maybe try eBay or, or something like that. So I think Dollfan is great. The Bountiful Baby, which is probably the largest supplier of kits, or they sell the most kits from a volume perspective. They have their own forum, and that's a great forum if you're learning to paint. I don't think it's a forum that collectors are on as much, but it's a great forum if you're learning to paint and you want to ask for advice, things like that. So that's a great place to read up if you're kind of thinking about, trying to paint your own reborn. My other recommendation would really be, so if you're debating between, wow, this baby is like a cute baby and she's only like, $200, and, I don't know if I'm like in love with it, but, I think it might be, it might be a good starter reborn to buy. Definitely just make sure that you love the baby, that, from what you can see in the photos, that it's a baby that you just really, really love, so I think that's important. And I think so I think in general, it's best not to settle if you can afford not to settle. I know sometimes, sometimes our tastes are bigger than our budgets, and, that's totally understandable. Like, for example, yeah, I would love to have a Romy Stridham silicone. Is that going to happen? No, not at, $20,000 plus price tag. That's not going to happen for me. But, and so, yeah, so but then as I've done, more research, I've also, discovered other artists who make beautiful babies, and, the price tag is less, but they still make a baby that is gorgeous. And so, yeah, to some extent, we may need to settle not for our total dream, like prototype, some of the prototype reborns and some of the reborns can go for thousands of dollars, so I would say within reason. I would also try to think about, when you buy a baby, not because I think we all buy babies and think, oh, this is going to be my forever baby, but um, I think from just watching people's channels and just even from my own experience, you can never say never. So you want to think about, the baby's, price that you're purchasing it at brand new. And if you were to have to resell that baby, would you, what would the baby's resale value be? Like, really think critically about, the baby's painting, the artist's reputation, things like that. But just know that, used reborns typically don't go for as much as new reborns. And so it's just something to kind of keep in mind. So it's good just to, think carefully. But if you choose a sculpt that's really popular, like Saskia or Maisie, for example, is totally sold out. There are other babies out there like Quinlan, for example, super cute sculpt, totally sold out, was highly popular. There are collectors out there who really collect, and they kind of go after the hard to find sculpts. And so a baby like that will be a lot more valuable. A baby painted by a certain artist may be more valuable as well. If it's painted by a prototype artist, for example. But I would say, at the end of the day, it's your baby. You have to love the baby, and you can find wonderful babies at different price points. You don't have to spend $1,000 or $2,000 to get a baby that you love. You just have to keep looking, and if you find that artist who, I think Inez referred to it as the trifecta. Basically beautiful. Oh goodness, I forget. I know one of it is just basically like the quality of the baby, but also at the price point. I forget what the third was. Inez, maybe you can help me out here. What is the trifecta? I remember one is like kind of the baby's quality, and then another is like the price point. But if you can find a baby that you love at a price point you can afford, then you've totally struck gold. And so the other thing I would say is try not to go too crazy with buying baby clothes. I'm a total worst offender when it comes to this. Like, I see a cute outfit and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to get that. So I totally get the temptation. It's completely understandable, but just know that sometimes the outfit, you just kind of get caught up in the excitement, and then, I do have a lot of baby outfits that are brand new with tags. And it's sort of like when we buy clothes for ourselves. I don't know if this happens to other people, but, I'll buy myself like a new dress, and then it sits in my closet with the tag on it for like months. And this has happened, guys, because I have realized when I shop, I get really drawn in by kind of the bright, shiny object. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, that dress is so cute. And then I don't really like have an occasion to wear it. For our reborns, they don't really necessarily have to dress up for occasions. It's just kind of what we feel like putting them in. But I find I gravitate towards putting my babies in really kind of soft things that I would picture a real newborn wearing. So when it's something that's like a little bit scratchier, or I might see a cute dress and it looks really pretty, and I might change my reborn into that just to kind of see what they look like in that dress. But then at the end of the day, I'm not like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's it may just not be something that is a really wise decision. So just because I may not really want her to wear that outfit very much at all. So it's just something to think about. So back to kind of just, and sorry, this is a little bit all over the place, but I'm just kind of sharing things as I think about them. With silicones, I would say that because silicones are so expensive, I know that the desire to kind of settle will probably be there, for sure. And so for example, you might say, well, I really can't afford I really can't afford $3,000 and up for a full body silicone. So, I haven't, so maybe I'm willing to spend $1,000, and, you decide to buy a baby that has a lot of boo-boos, I would just make sure that you love the baby. You know, that's really important. And you can absolutely love and bond with babies that are not the super high end. Absolutely. This applies to both reborns and silicones. But I do think that if you buy a baby and, but before you buy it, you're like, I don't really love this baby, but it's so cheap of a deal. I just can't pass it up. I'm just going to go for it. And then you get that baby home when you're like, I don't love it. And then the baby just kind of sits there and you don't interact with it. Then, even if you only spent, let's just say, even if you only spent $500 for a silicone baby, you've wasted your money, like, because it's not a baby that you absolutely love. So I think you'd be much better off just saving that money, putting it aside, and waiting for a baby that you really like and are going to bond with. And so the other thing too, when you need to resell that baby, if it's not a baby that is going to be popular or sought after, it may be tough to recoup your investment on that baby versus, for example, if you, like, I feel like I bought Gabigail by Claire Taylor, my Noah, and I know I was very lucky to get him, you guys. When he went on sale on Dolphin, the lady Jenna who sold him to me, she probably had like 5 people who were interested in him, and I think, I don't know if timing wise I might have been the first. I think that was part of it, but I think part of it was to, and I didn't have a lot of feedback on Dolphin, but I did have a few positive feedbacks on there. And I obviously have this YouTube channel, which, I actually sent her the link and I was like, hey, here's my channel, just so you can, listen and maybe get to know me a little bit and can tell that I'm, I think generally a pretty nice and normal person. And I was kind of making my case for her to, sell me Noah, and so anyway, so she ended up, and I think she had other buyers as well, but, and she was kind of vetting them out. So anyway, I was super lucky to get Noah, but I do feel like Noah is, and Gabigail's such a popular sculpt, especially in silicone, and there were quite a few people who wanted one who missed out. That if, situation, came about where I was hard up on money and finances and I needed to sell him, I would be able to do that and probably sell him for about the original price. I paid his original price, even though I bought him used. But I do feel confident that I would be able to, recoup my investment if that were to, if the need were to arise. So, think about, but I don't really honestly think too much about resale value. I just fall in love with the baby and decide to buy them. And especially with silicones, I've been pretty picky. The one exception where I was not like as picky was with Maylee. She was just a steal of a deal, so I brought her home. But you guys, she, my husband wanted me to keep her, so I've kept her. But I don't interact very much with her. She's just kind of off to the side, and I'll have to do a video with her and just kind of talk about bonding and bonding issues and things like that. But anyway, that was the situation with Maylee. And she came to me, just definitely a fixer-upper baby, and the bond has been tough. Like, I've just, so I think if I had to go back in retrospect, would I have purchased her again? I don't know that I would, and maybe that's a sign that I should probably try to sell her. But anyway, so anyway, I think I probably hammered that point to its grave. Anyway. So my other advice, when, as a new collector, when you're purchasing, and I think I had a video about this, earlier on several months ago, but, always, this one's tough. Like, I think you should always just, you try to be safe when you're making purchases, pay goods and services unless it's somebody that you know very well and trust very well, or someone that you've maybe done some prior transactions with and you feel very confident that they're an honest person. But even then, it should really be with someone that you're like a friend with. That's what friends and family is. But you really should pay goods and services, because then you're protected by PayPal. If you're purchasing, usually the person listing the baby will post pictures pictures of the baby. Sometimes they'll only post 1 or 2 photos. I would always ask for more photos, and if they have a video, even better, because then you can see the baby from many different angles. But ask for close-ups of the hands, of the feet, of the back of the hair. Guys, when I was buying Maylee, the photo that she was listed, it was just a front shot like this, and then I asked for photos of the back of the hair, and only when I asked for those photos did the seller actually disclose that she had some spots on the back of her head that were balding and missing hair. And I kind of looked and I was like, ooh, that's not ideal. But I thought, well, maybe I can root some more hair, and she's such an inexpensive price. I think it's worth the risk to, try to fix her up. So I was able to root some more hair in, for Maylee. So, but if I hadn't asked, I wouldn't have known that. I would always ask if the baby is from a smoke-free home, and ask if the baby has been around any pets, especially for those of you guys who might have allergies. For me, coming from a a home that is a smoking home is a total deal breaker. You just can't get the smell out. I'm extremely sensitive to the smell of smoke. So that's something that is a total deal breaker for me. And I once ordered some baby clothes from Etsy that came and they reeked of smoke. But thankfully, because they were clothes, I was able to wash them and got the smoke smell out, thankfully, because but that was really disturbing when they came, smelled the smoke. Trying to think what other things like to advise you when you're buying. Definitely try to look at pictures of the artist's past work, because it gives you a sense of just their work and the consistency of their work. If it's someone selling on eBay, I would look at their feedback, of course, and even see some of the other items that they have for sale, and things like that. On Dolphin, of course, I would also check feedback also. That's really key. Some of this stuff I'm sharing, guys, is super basic, but I guess my, kind of overarching advice is, try to restrain yourself a little bit, try to also, and don't do what I did, was just buy 13 babies in like super short succession. I know that it's very tempting to do, because you just get so like in love with these babies and you want more and more and more. There's just something about this hobby. But try to really just be thoughtful about your purchases. Research the different sculpts. Look at McPhersonCrafts.com and Bountiful Baby and Irresistibles. Look at some of the sculpts that are available. Look at babies on eBay, and try to think about what you'll really like. And sometimes it's hard to know until you actually get the baby. Like, you might buy a bigger baby like Maisie and go, you know what? I actually really don't like big babies. I like newborn size, and that's okay. And that's a good thing to learn about yourself. I like babies of all sizes. I'm not sure how I would feel about a toddler baby. This might be about the biggest that I would want to go. But I know also for me, I don't gravitate as much to the preemies. Although I did buy the Blessing Kit by Marita Winters, and I do want to paint that baby someday. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a never say never. It's just I kind of fall in love with the sculpt itself or the baby itself. But yeah, watch YouTube. You can learn so much from watching different videos. A lot of us post advice videos. You can see what different people do with their babies. You can just learn a whole ton. So it's just great to research the hobby, read the doll forums, and just take your time and enjoy. And the other thing too is, on Facebook, I would recommend maybe setting up a Facebook account for your doll collecting hobby, so you can follow different pages, you can interact in the community, and really kind of share your babies, join different groups. Facebook is its own kind of overwhelming thing for me sometimes, because I find it like hard to keep up sometimes with social media. YouTube is my first priority when it comes to social media. Like, I read every single comment that you guys write. I try to respond, or at least heart comments that I love, and at least to acknowledge to you guys that I've seen your comment. But I know that sometimes it can be hard to find time for social media, and so and for me, I find it hard sometimes to keep up, especially with Facebook. But you don't have to be on YouTube. You can I think you don't have to comment if you don't want to. You can even just watch videos and just do that at the beginning, and maybe then you move to commenting, and then then if you want to, you can start making videos too, and sharing your hobby and getting to know others in the doll community. And for me, that's been really fun. I was definitely a YouTube lurker and also a lurker on Doll Fan for so many years, and back when Andrea Arcello had released Emery May and Melina, the silicone portrait babies of my daughter, I was like kind of a closet collector. Like nobody knew I collected. I was not involved in any of the forums. I read the forums and posts, but I don't know. I just felt shy about sort of, I guess, coming out of the closet, if you will, with my hobby. Um, but now that I think I'm just being a little bit older and just being a little bit more comfortable in my own skin. I'm not, and I just see the benefits of the community aspect of this hobby. There's so many great things about just getting to participate and share your collection. And I've made some wonderful friends through through YouTube, at the doll show. I'm so glad that, I finally kind of came out of my shell, so to speak. So I think sharing this hobby with friends, makes it a lot more fun. So I would definitely recommend that, because as a new collector, it can be really lonely. You might be the only person in your town who knows about these babies or loves these babies. And so it can feel very isolating, but just knowing that there are other collectors out there all over the world who love this hobby and appreciate this art form, it can be an encouragement to continue collecting. And if you go through a period where, you don't feel like really interacting with your dolls, that's okay too. The nice thing about these babies is they're not real babies. They don't have any needs technically. So if you feel guilty that you haven't changed one in a while, it's okay. Don't feel guilty if you can help it. But if you want to have those feelings too, that's okay. If you want to feel like you're really taking care of a real baby, that's part of the fun and the fantasy of the hobby too. So I can understand, that aspect too. But, this hobby can mean, different things to so many of us. And I think the important thing is just, do what you would want to do, and don't feel pressure. If you want to have one, whether you want to have one baby or 10 or 20 or 50 or 100, yes, there are collectors out there who have 100 reborn babies, believe it or not. And, no matter what size collection you have or aspire to have, you know, just enjoy your babies and enjoy this hobby as much as you can, and enjoy the journey, and ask questions. I think so many of us in the community are more than happy to help. And so, yeah, I think that's about all I have to share for today. I really hope this was encouraging and informative and somewhat helpful for those of you guys who are new, and maybe somewhat helpful for those of you guys who are experienced veteran collectors. But just thought I would hop on and share my thoughts and share you guys Miss Maizie, and I'm going to give her a little cuddle. Oh my goodness. And I just love her hair. I'm just going to show you guys her hair again. Just like the top of her head too. I love the way the hair curls. Like I don't know what mohair this is, because my Slumberland mohair, it seems like it comes out more curly or something, or maybe it's because I have the wavy curly version. I'm not sure, but I love how just very slightly curly this hair is, and how she has these fine baby hairs, and oh, she's just so beautiful. Oh, love her so much. All right, guys. Well, Miss Maisie's gonna wave bye, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.